Now you guys have been waiting for this one. It's the turn of the Canoptek Reanimator. Now long-term viewers of the channel will know that I've not got that much feelings for this model, but let's see if my rating has changed in this present time. So the Canoptek Reanimator, you can collect this model in the Royal Court box set, which is $115 in the US, £70 in the UK. I'm not sure if it's available worldwide. Somebody in the comments said it wasn't available where they're from. You'll have to let me know in the comments down below. Now where I got my Canoptek Reanimator was from the Indominus box set, which was released pre-9th edition. There was limited stock on that, so you'll be able to get that on eBay. So if you just look on eBay, I'm sure you'll find a Canoptek Reanimator. So it's an 80-point elite model from the Necron Codex. Now it does have a toughness 5, it has 6 wounds and a 3+ armor save. However, it does not have any invulnerable save whatsoever. Now even though it is a monster unit, it did still gain the core keyword in that balanced data slate that we got some time ago. So it is going to interact with some abilities that work on core units. We're going to go through that in this video. So it does have the explode ability, but the main reason you're taking a Canoptek Reanimator is for the Nanoscarab Reanimation Beam. Now this is an aura, although it isn't an aura because you have to select one single unit, and that unit has to stay within the aura, which is kind of annoying. So what this ability does, in your command phase you select a dynastic unit that is within 6 inches of your Reanimator. Now they must be visible to the Reanimator, you can't be doing it through terrain and whatnot, they must be visible. And then until the start of your next command phase, whenever that unit is using their reanimation protocols, they're going to get a +1 to that roll. So as standard we get a 5+ reanimation roll, it will now go to a 4+ roll. But before we get onto the maths and all that kind of stuff, let's just check out the weapons briefly. Now this thing isn't going to be doing that much damage in the game, but we've got to talk about the weapons. The first is the 2 atomizer beams, 12-inch range, assault 3, strength 6, -2 AP and 1 damage. So it's got a pretty poor range at only 12 inches. Okay, it is 6 shots at strength 6, but overall this ain't going to do a lot of damage at all, is it? Now the melee weapon it has is the Reanimator Claws. This is strength 5, -2 AP, 1 damage, and the Reanimator itself has 4 attacks. Again, don't expect too much from it, but you've got them there if you need them. So next let's talk about some of the stratagems that are available to the Reanimator. I'm only going to talk about the ones that are necessary here. The first one being the Prismatic Dimensional Breach stratagem for 1 command point. It can literally pop out of a Night Scythe after the Night Scythe has actually moved. Now don't forget the Reanimator is a core unit, and of course core units can pop out of a Night Scythe. Now it can't disembark from a Night Scythe because a Night Scythe requires infantry models to go inside it, but using this stratagem you put your Canoptek Reanimator in reserves, fly the Night Scythe up, and then use a stratagem to pop out. And the other one is Reanimation Prioritization. Now this one is going to cost you 2 command points, which kinda sucks, but let's get into the stratagem. So very simply, when you're using your Nanoscarab Reanimation Beam on a selected unit, in your opponent's shooting phase, you can literally swap the target of that beam. So if you've got a Necron Warrior unit to the right of the Canoptek Reanimator, but a completely different unit of say Scorbit Destroyers on the left of the Reanimator, you can change the focus of the beam to the Scorbit Destroyer unit to the left. Now that's going to cost us 2 command points. I think that's way too pricey, and to be honest I think it should just be an automatic aura, all units within 6 inches, but let's get on to some of the maths for the Reanimator. So at first glance he's ideal for keeping Necron Warriors up and running, because of course Necron Warriors, when they're doing their reanimation protocols rolls, they get to re-roll rolls over 1. So having a 4+ roll, re-rolling 1s, that seems quite good, right? But the thing that people keep forgetting time and time again when it comes to the Reanimator model is Necrons already have a 5+ reanimation protocols roll. So what this actually means, it's only the exact rolls of a 4, not a 5 or a 6, just a 4, that make any difference whatsoever. So you've got to ask yourself, how many times am I going to roll an exact 4? Now Necron Warriors in this example, they're 13 points a model. The Canoptek Reanimator is 80 points a model, so you need to get at least 6 rolls of an exact 4 when you're doing your reanimation protocols rolls for your Necron Warriors, just to almost break even. That would be 78 points. That's as good as even for me. Now arguably, you could have started the game with 6 additional warriors, although the likelihood is you've already maxed out a unit of Necron Warriors, you've already got 20. If you don't have 20 and you're taking a Reanimator, I think you're doing it wrong. You need to just pump up the Necron Warriors, because once the unit does get depleted, then yeah, nobody's doing any reanimation protocols anyway. Now another way to utilise the Canoptek Reanimator is with the multi-wound models. Units such as your Canoptek Wraiths, your Scorbit Destroyers. So let me rerun how this is going to affect those kind of units. Now if 2 models go down, that's going to be 6 dice in your dice pool. Now using that 4+ reanimation roll with the Canoptek Reanimator, which means the likelihood is on average you're going to get 3 4+ rolls, which will bring a model back. Whereas without the Canoptek Reanimator, you're likely going to be getting 2 on average, which wouldn't bring a model back in this situation. Now these kind of models are 30 to 35 points depending on the unit, so you will need around 3 models to be returned throughout the entire game, because bringing back 2 of those models, that's going to be 70 points at best. It's not going to pay for that Canoptek Reanimator. Now with 4 wound models such as Scarabs, it isn't really much different, but let's say you lose 2 Scarab bases to a shooting attack, that's going to be 8 dice to play with. So again, with the Canoptek Reanimator nearby, those 5+ rolls become 4+ rolls. On average, you should be getting one of those models back. So there is a running theme here. If you lose 2, you generally will be getting one of those models back with the Reanimator. Without the Reanimator, it is not as likely. Now again, we do need to come back to that natural dice roll of a 4, but I do believe it does make a difference when we're talking about multi-wound models. It just all depends on whether you believe you can get a return in your investment of that 80 points for the Reanimator. Gotta sound like I'm on Dragon's Den or something. Now I personally don't believe you ever do get the 80 points back, but now I'm going to shed some light on the Canoptek Reanimator. Sometimes it isn't just about the points, and instead it's sometimes just about keeping those units alive that are affecting the game more than other units. So in this case, if you've got 20 Necron warriors and they're really affecting the game, maybe they're in the middle of the battlefield, maybe they're holding on to 2 completely different objectives, and your opponent has got, say, Warp Ritual, they're trying to get to the centre of the board to do that psychic action. You need these warriors to stay up and running to completely screen off that area of the table. When your opponent knows that you've got a 4+ reanimation roll, re-rolling the 1s, that's going to be a massive off-put for your opponent to be targeting that warrior unit, and maybe they just completely abandon that secondary objective. I mean, yes, you could have just paid for, say, 5 Necron Immortals instead of a Canoptek Reanimator, but in this particular example, those Necron Immortals are not really affecting the game. You can see sometimes where a specific unit is absolutely vital to the game, so this could be that make or break moment if you've got the Canoptek Reanimator. Now before we get onto the rating, I just wanted to mention a few bits of synergy with the Canoptek Reanimator. Firstly, pairing it with a Technomancer, or a Ghost Dark in fact, if you're playing with the Necron Warriors. You're then going to have that 4+ reanimation roll, re-rolling the 1s. Then you're going to be bringing models back with a Ghost Dark or the Technomancer. Your opponent is going to absolutely pull their hair out. Yes, that's more of an investment again, but if that's what you're doing, that's what you're planning to do, but then yeah, game's the game. Now if you're worried about not finding obscuring terrain early enough for your Canoptek Reanimator, maybe a Chronomancer could help with the invuln save. Having that 5+ invulnerable save on the Canoptek Reanimator could help because it sticks out like a sore thumb if it doesn't have any terrain. It has no invuln save, it can be targeted. So yeah, an invuln save could be pretty decent. It would be kind of nice if it had a 4+ or a 5+ invulnerable save like a containment field save, but for some reason it doesn't. Also, you could actually use the Canoptek Reanimator with the Veil of Darkness relic because of course it's a core unit. So you can get this Reanimator over to, say, a unit of Flayed Ones that have just deep struck in. So you've got the Flayed Ones, you've got the Reanimator, you've got Necron Overlord, all synergizing together at the complete other side of the battlefield. Yeah, that's not a bad synergy as well. Also something that goes under the radar with the Canoptek Reanimator, but of course it has the Canoptek keyword. So if you're selecting Ancient Machineries as one of your secondary objectives, your Reanimator can do it, and now you may be thinking, well, my Nanoscarab Beam Aura is going to get turned off because he's doing an action. Well, that is not correct. Auras only get turned off for character models. If you check the rules, it's only character models that lose their auras when they're doing actions. This is not a character model, it's just a monster, so therefore that aura will stay active. So let's get onto the rating of this thing. Is it resilient? No. Does it deal damage? No. Do you get a return on its points? Very unlikely. Is it a distraction? Yeah, it probably is, to be fair. I think most non-Necron players see reanimation protocols as an absolute annoyance and will attempt to shut down anything that actually synergizes with reanimation protocols. In fact, just to stay positive for a moment, I believe there was a Summer GT where a Necrons player actually had a Canoptek Reanimator within their list. I think they won it, I'm not sure, let me know down in the comments below. But yeah, they had the Reanimator in their list, so take that as you will. But for me, this is just another dust gatherer. The beam alone annoys the absolute crap out of me. It's an aura, but you've got to select a unit, and that unit has to stay within that aura, so it can't go charging off, for example. You've then got the stratagem, which is 2 command points. In my opinion, you shouldn't have to spend any command points to do this. It should just be a complete aura. Okay, they have to stay within 6 inches, but working as an aura all game round. If this ability had a natural aura, this would be an okay unit. If it had an invuln save, it would be a decent unit. If it was untargetable like a character model, it would be a pretty good unit. But it's got neither of those things. So let's get on to the Canoptek Reanimator's Planet 40k rating today. Now the Planet 40k Discord server is actually suggesting a 3-star rating, but I'm going to go against that unfortunately. I'm going to be giving a 2-star rating.